Hi, welcome to TheatreCast, presented by the EdReach Network, giving educators a voice, a big voice. You've reached episode number 58, being recorded June 16th, 2014. This is a show where theater teachers and professionals share their passion for theater trends, share practical advice and tips, and ask questions of some of theater's most innovative collaborators. Joining me, as always, is my partner in crime, Danielle Files.
Hello, everybody.
And we have an exciting international episode of TheatreCast this week. I was very glad that the gentleman at Overcoming Theatre, located in Newcastle in Great Britain, reached out with me on Twitter, and I thought I checked their website, and they are doing some really awesome things in Great Britain, and to promote theater and to promote styles and to help push theater forward. And they were gracious enough to be able to join us, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, all right, I'm Danny from Overcoming Theatre.
I'm Connor.
And can you all kind of tell us where you got the idea for Overcoming Theatre and a little bit of what you do?
Well, we both studied acting at university, and together on the course we realised that the education of theatre could be a much more enjoyable experience. That wasn't just a matter of having people pass grades, but an experience that prepared and developed young professionals for the future. And we came up with Overcoming Theatre as a new way of doing this.
And also on top of that, we felt that the theory side of acting, the actual academic side, which is often overlooked and missed, that can be individually broken down and simplified, but never actually had been. So we felt that we needed to break the academic language down of the most influential theatre practitioners and make that accessible to young actors so that the development of acting skill can reach a much higher level, much quicker.
Well, that's such a exciting and great thing, and I'm so glad you all are so young to be able to tackle that. And I think one thing I really liked about going to your website is you help break it down and narrow down some of those harder to understand newer styles, like I think it was Grotowski and and give a visual and auditory representation, a video representation of what that was. Can you kind of tell us about that process of doing the videos?
Well, we started off by researching the practitioners, so getting all of the most relevant books that weren't just sort of geared towards a student's development, but also an actor's development as well. We researched them. It took us a lot longer than we thought it would initially. There's a lot of stuff there that we had to get exactly right because our website needs to be.
Stanislavski himself could be an entire.
Exactly. I mean, we said that we could rename our company Overcoming Stanislavski and still have just as big a website. So we researched and understood and pulled apart every theory and technique of the practitioner, and basically from our knowledge that we gained, use that as a platform to build a whole script and videos about it.
Yeah, because that was the important bit, was that we felt that learning about these techniques, you need to see them in the purest form. And contemporary theatre law uses all these techniques all the time. They're not in a pure form, they're mixed with others, so they can be easily confused. So we built everything up from the script to the way it was shot to the location. Absolutely everything is built directly from that practitioner's theories and techniques. And then we've got an international award-winning director who won a Telly Award called Adam Gerber. and he actually like created the video side of it, so looked at the cinematography and how to actually create a video out of a theatre piece, which is actually a really difficult thing to do. There's only one of the 5 videos that is actually a video on locations. The rest of them are actually in a theatre, you know.
He directed us as the practitioners would have wanted us directing, which we wish we hadn't have told him for the actor when obviously, you know, been cruel to the actor. So he had us screaming constantly for minutes on end till we couldn't speak anymore. But again, it was good for us because that's part of the process that Arto would have his actors go through. So it was a really good learning experience for us as well.
And so then after we shot it all, so we wrote it and then shot it, and then obviously all the editing process again goes through the same sort of process as it would be for the practitioner. So the Grotowski, for example, is slightly grainy, and it has 4 different platforms. So you can see that although it's repeated constantly, it's exactly the same movements. It's that discipline of the spontaneity.
And I was especially excited to see that you've got categories for physical theater and for devised theater, which is one of here in the U.S. very difficult to find the people willing to give the time. There's no government subsidy here, obviously, for arts really to speak of, to get the production costs, but not so that the performers or the directors and crew can actually make a living. So to ask people to devote the time and energy to devise theater here, that's a really tough one for us to see. There are some companies that do it, notably a shout out to Vitalist Theater in Chicago. They're able to do it. But it was exciting to see that you guys have resources for places to be able to see that and experience it vicariously.
Yeah, I mean, like with devised theatre, it's part of our what we call our beginner sort of class, because we think that it's really good for a young or an aspiring actor to get the skills in devising and creating theatre, because theatre is all about the creation. You know, that's the starting point. And I think we both think that devising techniques are a really good way of getting students into that creative mode to want to create something out of completely nothing.
As for the physical theatre, I'd say that was particularly our passion. It's the only section of the website that's actually our techniques, mine and Connor's, how we create it. Because obviously physical theatre uses so many different practitioners and can be so varied. So on the website, it's basically a run through of all the techniques that we use in order to create physical theatre. But physical theatre has almost unlimited bounds, and you can go anywhere with it. And that's why we have a particular passion for it, because you can create anything from such a small thing to such a large, grandiose.
And you were mentioning about starting up, and I saw on your website that you got a nice little check. Can you kind of tell us how that check came to be in your possession?
Well, we needed money to create the website. I mean, that was a fact, and we put some money into the business already, but it wasn't enough to get the quality of the website and the products that we wanted. So there was this government-backed scheme called Startup Loans, which was set up to basically, what was quoted as turbocharging youth enterprise in the UK. It was all about getting youngsters to have that entrepreneurial sort of aspect and go ahead and start up their own business. And as a theatre company, obviously going in to ask for a £25,000 loan from the government, it was a very grueling process. We were in meetings for hours. We're getting grilled and going through exactly how we were going to benefit the people that visited our website or used our resources, and also if it was gonna make money and be something that the industry wanted and needed. And we managed to persuade them, rightly so, and with that check that was presented to us by Sir Richard Branson in Newcastle, we managed to create the website and all the videos.
And we really want to push the point, actually, to any students or teachers that are teaching students to push. And that is that it's all wonderful if you're creating fantastic pieces of theatre, but if you can't afford to put them on, or you're creating anything fantastic, anything artistic and creative, don't leave that really important bit out. Money is something that we just have to bear. It's something that we have to have in order to create what we want to create or change what we want to change. And so we really want to push that out, although we hate trying to find funding or get money and do all the spreadsheets. It is vital, otherwise art isn't going to be created.
Yeah, we tend to just have the great ideas and then hope that it will magically occur without spreadsheets and cleaning up sawdust.
And so I really admire that you were all able to make it through that process, and I'm sure that going through that process definitely made you better, helped you define your vision for overcoming theater, because I'm sure you get grilled more than once. You've got to know, this is what we're about, this is what we do, this is, which I think is a great process, because and you were able to benefit from that, because sometimes, let's start a theater company, great, but what is your focus for that? Who's your audience? What is your mission? And I think because you had that process, I think that probably helped you narrow it down even quicker than if you hadn't gone through it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to start off with, we had a vision which was to help the education of theatre and make acting a much more accessible industry and way of learning. And we thought that originally Overcoming Theatre was going to do that by just providing workshops. And the website was actually going to be sort of second to the workshops. But after, like you say, going through that process and understanding that if we really want to help as many people as possible in the most efficient way as possible, then obviously we're in the age of the technology. Why not have an online resource which tells the students and gives this information in a visual way and written information where they can actually have a full experience of these practitioners' theories and techniques, get inspired, but then also have the understandable written content to back it up.
Yeah, why should theatre be second to all the other subjects? It's something that really annoys us. There's so much out there for English, maths and science, and we're getting it rammed down our throats, but ultimately being creative in any way possible, and particularly within theatre and particularly within acting, is not just a self-therapy and won't just help you with connecting with people and being able to be and speak your mind, but it also helps you directly with your personal creativity, and that's just getting ideas of multiple values. So that ranges throughout your life, whether it be in your work or personal life. And drama is so important, and it's just not being developed. And so we thought we're going to have to do something here. We felt like there was a need. We must do this. We have no choice but to push theatre and technology together and help the education of it.
So how are you measuring your success? I'm sure they asked you what metrics you would use to, what goals you wanted to reach, etc. How are you measuring your success, and how happy are you with the results so far?
Well, the first thing we measured it by was the actual outcome of the website, the product itself, because we wanted a website which people could be inspired from, could develop from, and also use, as almost like a Bible in their educational and professional career. So when we got the website and the videos, straight away we knew that we'd done something successful, because there was nothing else like this on the internet and nothing else to this quality as well. The next way we measure our success now is the reaction we get off people is, like, for instance, when we go and do workshops with people, we can see if people have progressed and actually developed, and actually not just developed in that class, but taken the skills they've learned from the website or the workshops into their own craft and become better as students and professionals.
Yeah, it really, the measure of success, because ultimately money is just a byproduct of the success of the change of the industry, the change of the education of theatre. So ultimately it's how many young people we can help get into the industry, or how many people we can help with drama and theatre or just being creative. And we will measure our success. Obviously the website's only just been launched, but we will measure our success on how many people we actually managed to reach. It was the reason that we did the big theatre campaign before the website was launched. So it is measured on how many people feel the benefit of overcoming theatre.
And can you share with us what your process was for the big theater campaign? How many different performances did you do?
This is where our sort of this is where creativity comes in helpful. So, you know, we said, right, we need a way to inspire people into, you know, wanting to get involved in theatre and wanting to learn about theatre. Otherwise, no one's going to want to take interest in our site. You can't build a website in an industry that no one's interested in. So how are we going to get that inspiration? And it started off, we said, right, well, why don't we do a half-an-hour flash mob in Newcastle and inspire a few people. Again, the creativity came in, and that ended up, why don't we do 100 flash mobs in 50 consecutive days over 3 countries to schools and public places, just us two, producing, writing, directing and acting every single day. And yeah, it just...
Yeah, it just totally blew up, and we're trying to find a larger free theatre tour in Great Britain. I don't think there has been one, and it was such a wonderful experience. We went to schools that had seen loads of theatre. We went to schools that had never had a theatre company go there, and there was loads of people that we managed to just catch by surprise during the flash mobs in public places. Would just literally just burst out into a piece of theatre, and that would make people ask questions. That would make people go, oh, where can I get involved with this? What can I do? And just again directing everyone to, because that's what else we're trying to do, is help people actually get involved that want to and don't really know where to go. Because how many young people get to meet actors within the industry? Certainly we feel here not that many, so you never get direct advice, and we wanted to give that opportunity.
And theatre itself, you know, is an experience. You know, theatre is an experience. It's not something, you know, you have to really get a passion for it and see how powerful it can be, and how much value it has on, you know, your emotional response. You have to experience that, and in Britain there just wasn't enough people having that accessibility to fully experience theatre. You know, people in London, fair enough, they can go to the West End and see a fantastic show and experience it there. Newcastle, there's some great theatres around, but if you look at that on a broad scale across the whole of Great Britain, there were some kids that had never seen theatre before, and that's so heartbreaking. To think that they've never had that experience, and to give them that experience, that was so rewarding for us.
And the main thing is, and probably the main reason, is the stigma that's attached to theatre. And there's a lot of, I don't know about you guys over there, but here, particularly as a man, growing up in school, you get this stigma of being a wimp if you go and see theatre, you know, and that's. Or even being gay, yeah. And that's difficult for a 12, 13-year-old boy to deal with sometimes in most situations. So we're just trying to say that what is the difference between theatre and film? Why is all this stigma attached to people who act because it's considered theatre, but then you've got some of the greatest, scariest men alive are actors. Look at Al Pacino, look at the Tom Hardy, look at Brando. You've got all these big, muscular, masculine men that are doing this, and all these fantastic women, like role model women actresses. And we wanted to take that stigma away and go, anyone can do it. We love it.
Yeah, I hate to say, but it's same here.
Yeah.
same stigma here. Probably layered with we have so many Type A personalities, I think, in charge of our country's direction forward, and a lot of my friends, in fact, backstage at the show I'm in right now, we were talking about how many of the parents and families keep saying, so when are you going to get a real job? And
yeah,
it's really cute how you're doing your little show, but when are you going to get a real job? And don't perhaps recognize or grasp how much of an all-encompassing, like as you said, emotionally charged and fully organic education you get from doing any theater.
I mean, this is one thing that really boils our blood, is exactly what you said there. You're an actor, it's not a real job. People, and this is why we want to push out overcoming theatre and the techniques and theories and the lifestyle that actors have to go through. Acting is not just pretending to be something you're not. It's not about, I'm quite good at pretending to be a certain character, so I'm going to get on a stage and do that. It's a lifelong dedication that needs to be thought out. It's a process that you're constantly learning and developing and progressing, gathering new techniques, taking new influences. And for someone to say that it's not a real job, or it's just standing in front of a camera and remembering lines, is ludicrous. And this is why we want to push that out there. That acting itself is such a lifelong process that needs hard work and dedication, more so than any other job that I know.
It's like being an athlete. We always compare it to being an athlete, and not just physically. Although me and Connor train 3 times a week and warm up every day. Then you've got all the research on the theories. There's not a day goes by when we don't write some theory down, write a technique or a thought down, read techniques, read practitioner books. All of this is absolutely vital, and it's done by the greatest actors that you see on the biggest screens of all do this on a day-to-day basis. And you get this stigma attached to acting that it is just like, you remember your lines and you say them. And we need to, and it's that where the appreciation goes, because it's the education and understanding of a subject that gives you appreciation for it. The reason that soccer or football in this country is so popular is because we've all kicked a soccer ball, a football, and we all understand how difficult it is to achieve what those athletes are doing. It goes for any sport. It goes for any art form. If you've never tried to paint a picture, you couldn't appreciate how fantastic a great portrait is. And that's another reason for drama education. It's the appreciation for theatre and what you see, and the amazing communion that actors create within theatres is not appreciated because people don't understand what they're experiencing.
Yeah, it's like when you have, like, say you've got a musician that plays a guitar. To be the best, they'll practice with their guitar every single day. Well, with acting, if you imagine the guitar is our body and our mind and our emotions, that's what we have to keep developing. And people don't see that and don't realise that. But it's quite funny how all the greatest actors are in such good shape. Physically, vocally, the voice is so resonant, and they are so creative. When you watch Robin Williams on his Inside the Actor's Studio, whenever there's a comment about something made, you see his brain and it scans of how he can create something out of it. And he's got the physical tools to do that, and the vocal tools to do that as well.
We talked backstage. We just talked backstage last night too about this very thing. We came up with this idea and said, wouldn't it be wonderful if some scientist could come and put sensors to gather information about our brain activity when we're on stage. Because, for instance, last night a door buzzer sound cue came very late, and so, okay, you can't go answer the door if nobody has done it. So there's a moment with the other actors on stage where you're recognizing it and thinking, okay, is it just a bit late? Is she having trouble in the booth? Has she fallen asleep? Is she just not there? So how can we both continue our conversation and be in character? And we're thinking of how to keep the blocking natural and trying to communicate with the person in the booth. All of these things going on at the same time, plus keeping the story pure for the audience and fun for them to engage with. Could it be possible that the amount of brain power that we normally use, which is a shockingly small amount, as we've all heard, could it be possible that when we're on stage acting that engagement is much more fired up? We'd love to see a scan. So you guys get on that next. Okay? I want to see a new page.
There's definitely there's scientific and cultural belief in that. And first of all, the amount of endorphins that are released into our brain when we go on stage puts us into a higher stage of engagement, and that can almost send us into almost a trance-like state. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a trance-like state, if you've ever done sort of shamanic dancing and trance dance, that sort of thing, you go into a state beyond, like you say, your normal working brain state. And it's very interesting, I think, how you can play with that, take it to the extreme and do like trance mask, and just go into a complete trance with it and let the mask take you over, or bring that completely down. Take the trance away, and then just give your lines. Just say them. Just, don't put anything on it. Just say your lines and move and play with that, and then everything works. It's like Lecoq said, on an equilibrium. Everything's in a balance, and you've got to find that perfect balance for whichever show you're doing.
Sorry, we're having a tremendous storm here. I hope I get to stay with you.
Very well stated. It is that heightened, where you're, what's the word? You're at your top of the game when you go on stage. Oh, it's that heightened state of, you have to be in control and in the moment. And I think
it's the same with your wonderful football players as well. They're probably experiencing that. I'm not a wonderful football player, so but I bet they're experiencing that same heightened awareness and.
Yeah, it's it's really funny. The best performances that I've done, or the best performances when I've seen someone do afterwards, they can't remember it. You see someone and they blow you away on stage, and then you see them afterwards, and then you go, oh, that was really good. How did that feel? And to be honest, I had no idea. And it's that state of mind that we're talking about. That it's like you're in another realm.
Yeah, and I think that's some of the things that attract students to theater, is that heightened state. It's like painting a Van Gogh. It's that that the endorphins you get from that performance, and it's definitely what I think gets students hooked. It's that rush of energy that comes from doing theater and making all those different things happen, because when you're doing theater, it's not just the acting, but it's the set and the publicity and the costumes and getting all those things to come together. And I think the collaborative process is such a powerful thing, and it's also what the business world. Their business world is finally coming to us, or that type of thinking. And like, we've been doing it for years since the Greeks.
I think it's those endorphins that are getting students hooked, and it goes back again to the stigma of being an actor or theatre. We're all adrenaline junkies, really. You know, we're all looking for that fix. We're all putting our whole careers on the line every single night, and if we make a huge mistake, it will be noted, and it will be, you know, you have to suffer that moment. If you forget a line, you have to suffer that in front of a paying audience. It's that risk equals reward that we take every night, and that should be put across to students as well. Is actors are adrenaline junkies. There's no doubt about it.
That's what I like about your site, guys, is I think so many websites and tech media devoted to theater is about the final product, and it's clear that you are much more process oriented, that
Yes.
even your final products reflect really heavily the process that you're trying to explore, the theorists that you're trying to explore. How did you pick the theorists? I'm sure that was a big discussion. How did you pick the theorists? By the way, big thumbs up for the ones that you've picked. How did you pick them, and will you be adding more, do you think?
Well, the big three, which well, obviously Stanislavski, we had to do him no matter what, because we said we want the ones that are the most influential in the industry and that can benefit the students the most, but also ones that can be found on the curriculum as well, so we can help people in education. And the big three that we have in England and realise there's a lot of around the world are Stanislavski, Arto, and Brecht. They were the three main ones that there was no other question of us doing. Grotowski was the next one, because we've picked Grotowski because he put so much focus on the actor and theatre itself, and he wasn't one of these that tried to move with film. The only way you can put on a Grotowski piece or really experience Grotowski is through theatre, that live experience.
And so physical too, so very
physical, and an actor can benefit so much from that, you know, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and obviously, like you said, physically. And physical theatre, we realise that obviously there's people like Burkhoff, Jacques Lecoq, Laban, these are all people we wanted to do, but they all come under the same category of physical theatre. And we saw this is a really good opportunity, like Danny said earlier, of us modifying our own sort of theory into physical theatre, which is on the uprise right now. Everyone's doing physical theatre, and if you look at people like Jim Carrey, you know, they're physical theatre artists all day long. And we saw this as a really good opportunity to combine them different styles and techniques together, but create something that was ultimately our own.
And what we were pleased with was that's exactly how we decided on the 5 styles. But when you read each one of them, or certainly the four practitioners, you realise that we couldn't really pick anyone else. The amount of influence and how they changed what we see as theatre today, from Stanislavski changing literally what people see as acting to a completely different art form that people only think, like, acting is associated with naturalism. That is what people think it is. Peter Brook said that he was the most important writer since Shakespeare. You look at Arto and you think, how am I feeling all of these things that are coming towards me? He brought a whole different cultural element into our theatre and into our art, and ultimately into our films now, really. And then obviously you look at Grotowski and you see he achieved something that just can't be denied. The possibilities of the actor, which is almost limitless.
I think it's really, I think one other thing which we really wanted to push with the website was, you know, like Danny said, acting is really associated with naturalism. You know, if 90% of people who say they want to be actors, they want to do naturalistic acting, and they don't realise sort of how influential and how used other practitioners' theories and techniques are on stage and on screen. Now if Brecht, I'm going to use as a main example. So when I've been to the theatre the past 4 or 5 times, every single play's had some sort of political message, and it's poked a little bit of fun at it in some way. And that is Brecht all over. And you start to realise more and more that they're getting used. And I don't know if you've noticed, but How I Met Your Mother, the TV programme, that uses almost every Brechtian technique there is. It's quite scary that people don't realise this.
But the whole thing's a past tense story. It's like it's looking back on a previous event. It's just representing what actually happened or showing what actually happened.
The action's constantly broken up. It's constantly relating to dates which have been important throughout someone's life, which people can relate to. Yes, fair enough, the political side might not be as prominent, but it's all to do with morals, it's all to do with lessons, but life lessons instead of political ones. And it's so when you look at it from a Brechtian point of view, it's mind-boggling, but amazing at the same time, because it's inspiring for us as actors, knowing that we have that knowledge, that we can actually look at something like How I Met Your Mother or any performance which has these practitioners' theories in, and actually be able to understand them and acknowledge them. And that's really special for a creative artist.
And so then it's not just theatre that we're appreciating more and getting educated about, but it's film and TV as well. It's all the art forms that an actor covers, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, I think you have touched on the storytelling process and its various forms that we all work our way through, and I think, to me, it's an important part. It's what actors are meant to do. We are storytellers, and the stories can be meant to entertain, but they also can be meant to change lives and for closer introspection, to help us learn from our mistakes. Theater's a mirror, and sometimes that mirror shows something really pretty, and sometimes that mirror shows something really grotesque. And we can learn from either one of those. And I think I really appreciate the passion you all bring to your process, because, well, one, I know that, long after I'm gone, you all will be still pushing theater, and that makes me feel so much better, and that there is a future for theater, because, how many times have we heard, once the blue hairs die, there's going to be no more theater.
I don't buy that. I do not buy that. I don't think it's true at all.
I don't either, but, that's...
They've been saying it. They were saying it when, gosh, Nick, when you and I were children and were.
You got to look at it this way, right? Technology can break and electricity can run out, but people are constantly evolving. People are constantly being created, and that's what theatre is. It's a human art form.
You can't tell a story without putting on a piece of theatre. It's impossible.
Think of the cavemen around the fire way back when. That was theater, talking about their hunt and
exactly, yeah.
It's the most natural primal instinct, one of the most natural primal instincts we have.
And that's why it gets such a powerful emotional response.
I would like to hear how you all got your start in theater. What was your introduction? When did the bug bite you all?
Well, to be honest, funny enough, I got into theatre through film. So, from a really young age, my dad is a film fanatic. Absolutely loved him. I watched a lot of films with my dad, and my dad encouraged me to watch films constantly. And me and my mum and dad, it was quite a big thing that we'd go to the cinema or watch something. And it got to, I can't remember how old I was about 11 years old, and my mum and dad said, right, we're not going to the cinema, we're going to the theatre today. I was like, oh, come on. Anyway, I went, and I can't remember exactly what I saw. I think it was Wind in the Willows. something, and it just blew my mind. The fact that I was first-hand witnessing someone telling me a story in such a powerful, passionate way, and you know, it always stuck with me, that experience. And then, you know, I just sort of, I always really enjoyed acting. You know, I'd create scenarios and characters in front of a mirror in my room. I'd go out, you know, I lived near some fields, and I'd go out and me and my friends would create, you know, performances, not necessarily like staged, but just improvising with, you know, fake props and fake costumes. It was a really good way to just emotionally, you know, pour out what I was feeling, whether it be happiness, whether it be anger, anything. And obviously, you know, taking that into education, I didn't start really start progressing it until I was about 16. But I took it into education. I realised this is something that I have a true passion for, and that I'm willing to spend the rest of my life, you know, dedicated to.
I had a slightly different experience. I started like going to a theatre group when I was 5, and by the time I was 6, I wanted to be an actor. That's all I wanted to be. I did drama festivals, like monologues, duologues, poems, that sort of thing. And then the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art does exams, so I started doing those as well alongside that. And did various stage schools and youth theatres and that sort of thing. Went to National Youth Theatre when I was 16, and then went to university when I was 18 to study contemporary acting, which was where I met Connor, and the rest is overcoming theatre.
That is, it's always interesting to hear those when the bug bit. I know for me it was doing I think a production, or auditioning for a production of King and I, which I didn't get into, but it was fun, and I started getting involved when I was in high school. But it's amazing how just those performances, and to think, you know, you all maybe 20 years from now may hear from the students from last year and go, oh, I saw that flash mob, and they got me really interested, or one of the groups that you've done your workshops for, and you welcome the world of being a teacher, because you don't know the effect you have till maybe 20 years from now.
Some seeds take a long time to grow.
And you may, of course, hear it sooner also, but it's just, you still don't know that little moment, which might be a little moment to you, was a big moment to that student, and help them realize or open up a whole new world to them. And I think that's what helps us push forward and to continue to bring theater to as many people as we can, because it is at times a definite challenge, and we just have to pick ourselves back up and keep on keeping on.
For that next fix.
Yeah.
We'd want to open ourselves up as overcoming theatre to anyone, wherever you are in the world, and sort of say, if you send us a message and ask us a question, we'll do our best to answer it, because we feel like everything's very closed still at the moment. And you know, connecting with you guys over Twitter has been fantastic, and it shows the power of social media. And we are always available to any students who have questions or find it difficult, or even actors, you know, or any people that want to maybe come over to the UK and put on some theatre here. If there's anything we can do to help, that's what we're here for. It's our passion, it's our love. We do it because we love it, not because it makes us rich.
So if I'm no, different kind of rich, different kind of rich. I always tell my folks that. Different kind of wealth that I'm getting. So if I am a theater teacher in, say, Central Ohio in the U.S., how would you want me to use your website? Clearly, I would not be likely to be able to get you to come for a workshop. But would there be some? What would you want me to do with your website as a tool?
Well, there's two ways really. Can either push it out to your students and let them know that there's a new resource which will help them in their educational development and their professional development. You know, obviously you'll be able to tell as well as anyone how influential and how beneficial the techniques and theories are, you know, to the students, and then they can either go off and subscribe themselves, or we do bulk orders for schools. You know, where a school will give a lump sum of money at a discount, and then that makes it accessible to you as the teacher and every single student which you want it to be available for.
And we give those on 9-month contracts, so it works on the school time. So you're really only paying the 6-month fee for the whole school year, just to make it a little bit more accessible. And that's why we put it. If you don't, you just do it individually. It's £20 for 6 months, which is less than £1 a week. And that's why we set it at that price, because we want to make this as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. And really, you know, we've got to earn a living. You know, couldn't give it away for free because we had to get the loan to pay for it. But you know, we've put that as low as possible, and we want as many people to subscribe, not only for the information that's there, the videos and the written information, but also the forum to help people connect. Students can connect all over the world through the Overcoming Theatre forum, you know, and ask questions to us directly. So if you subscribe, you can send us an email of any technique that you're trying to implement into a theatre piece, or you're trying to do anything. We're here to give advice along with other actors that we have that help us out.
Drama teachers as well are all members, so drama teachers can give advice to each other. I know new lesson plans that they've discovered, new things that I think could help the students. So like Danny said, just a real way of connecting this industry, which seems to be so distorted from each other. This is almost like a hub where people can feel safe and discuss things and talk about things.
On top of obviously using the videos and the written information during lessons to base, you know, your whole scheme of work can be based around overcomingtheatre.com. It's got everything that an aspiring actor needs.
Well, I think you all summed that up very well, and I think, and it seems to be a challenge for us theater artists, is you have to get out of rehearsal sometimes and work on your pedagogy, your technique, your craft, your improving your knowledge, and that's just something that we need to be aware of, and appreciate you all taking the time to share this wonderful resource, because I really appreciate your passion and your determination and your focus on it, because it's just such a strong thing, and to be able to make all that happen, it's a great accomplishment, and you should all be aware of that, because I know sometimes you're in the middle of it and you're like saying, and it's just like, you know, okay, we got it done. Okay, what's next? But take a moment to go, oh, well, this was not here before, and you two created that, and take a moment to go, okay, I think we might have changed the world.
We hope so.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Definitely, it's a wonderful site. If our listeners are just listening, we'll say it for you. It's www.overcomingtheatre, THATRE, please.com. And it's a really rich, fun site to drive around, too. So we've given the website. If people want to get in contact with you, what are the other social media things that you will use for people to contact you with?
The best ones are either Facebook or Twitter, so it's Facebook.com/Overcoming Theatre, or Twitter is @Overcoming Theatre, so it's Overcoming Theatre without the RE.
That way you don't have to worry. Is it ER or ERE?
In all honesty, the reason it's like that is because we couldn't fit it on.
I totally understand. Want to thank you both for taking the time to join us today. Really appreciate it, and I'm glad we're able to connect and that you're able to join us. Be sure to check out their website, overcomingtheater.com. Danielle, how can people get a hold of you on the interwebs?
You can reach me on Twitter at Ms. Filas, MSFILAS. And you can check out my blog at edunerd.blogspot.com. What about you, Nikki Q? How can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at edtech4theater, or you can find me at my blog www.edtech4theater.com. And want to let our listeners know about our kind of schedule next week. So we won't have a show next Sunday, but pay attention to Twitter and the interwebs. We'll be at least doing one live show from the International Thespian Festival in the international city of Lincoln, Nebraska. We'll have Jack Parkhurst joining us, and I hopefully will be able to coordinate another guest. And so pay attention to the interwebs and see what's out there. Probably the week of July 4th will be dark, but I'm hoping to line up 2 guests at the International Thespian Festival, so you'll have a show to tide you over till the week after July 4th. Want to thank you all again. Be sure to follow EdReach on Twitter and go to edreach.us. Check out the other shows. And why not become a Patreon member for EdReach and donate? It's only $1 a month. Go to Overcoming Theater first, spend your £20, and then spend $1 at EdReach and help us pass the word along about how education works, the ways we can connect with each other in the world, and to make education better.
Think of all the good you can do just from your rear end, just sitting there typing in $1 here, a couple pounds there, world change, boom. Just do it.
And Danny and Connor, once again, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. We
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed the time.
And we'll see you next week. Thanks.